Hello, and welcome to our daily COVID-19 update for the town of Plymouth. This is update number 27. It's coming to you live from PAC TV studios in Plymouth on April 17, 2020 at noon. I'm Steve Triffletti, your Plymouth Town Moderator, and we're here each day, Monday through Friday at noon for this update. This forum is being brought to you live by PAC TV on Comcast, channels 13 and 15, and Verizon channels 43 and 47. You can also watch this on PAC TV's streaming channel by going to pactv.org/live. And for your questions today during the forum, please email us at plymouthinfo@pactv.org. These forums can be replayed at pactv.org/Plymouth. Today, our participants are Kenneth Tavares, Chair of the Board of Selectmen, Matt Muratore, Plymouth State Representative, Tim Cruz. He is the Plymouth County District Attorney, Joseph McDonald. He is the Plymouth County Sheriff. Also, Michele Pecoraro is the Executive Director for Plymouth 400, and Amy Naples, Executive Director, Plymouth Area Chamber of Commerce. As we start each day, we welcome the Chair of the Plymouth Board of Selectmen, Kenneth Tavares. Welcome, Ken.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's a pleasure to be with you again. I just want to remind you that you're doing a phenomenal job. We feel very comfortable in the town of Plymouth where we are right now, and so many of you are doing so much. You may not think it's a lot, but every little bit that you do helps and is making us much more successful in getting through this crisis. Thank you for what you're doing. And I do want to remind you, I did this last weekend. Please take some time for yourself. Wherever your retreat area is, if it's in your yard, if it's in a corner room somewhere, or if it's a brief walk around the neighborhood, do it. Do something for yourself this weekend and become re-energized. Thank you.
Thank you. That's Kenneth Tavares. He is the Chair of the Plymouth Board of Selectmen, and today we're delighted to welcome back our Plymouth County District Attorney, Tim Cruz. Tim, what's happened since the last time you joined us?
Good morning, Steve, and thank you for all your efforts and your work regarding putting this together in PAC TV and everybody getting on board. I think it's great that the word can come out, as to what we're all doing in our respective areas. Right now, obviously, coronavirus is affecting all of our businesses and things that we do. But having said that, crime is still ongoing here in our county and here across the Commonwealth. Now, with a limited staff, we continue to practice, obviously, social distancing. Majority of our 60 assistant DAs and employees that work here are working remotely from home. And we have a rotating schedule of assistant DAs, administrative assistants, and victim witness advocates because we still have ongoing cases, although the majority of them are all being done either telephonically or through video conference. The state police that are assigned to the DA's office continue to investigate cases. They're still busy, and our staff continues to prepare for trials whenever that's going to be. We're unclear at this point when courts will reopen as we used to know them anyways. But right now, the district courts, superior courts, juvenile courts, they're all under standing orders that are really still intended to minimize appearances in court itself. So most arraignments, which are your first times in court, the court appearances are all being handled remotely, like I said, through either teleconference or video. And if a case was scheduled prior to the coronavirus situation, most of those cases are being continued for at least 60 days. But I would say to anyone, if you have a question what's going on in the court system, please give our 5881 as we can. There's many things going on, and like I said, is here. There's still a lot of work to do. Our police are working very hard. As I'm sure a lot of you are waiting for a Supreme Judicial Court.
We're going to, Tim, I don't know if you can hear us. We're breaking up a little bit. So Tim's been telling us about what's happening with his work in the courts.
Am I back, Steve?
Go ahead, Tim.
Am I back? Okay. Yeah,
No, he's
the
sideways.
last time we
Tony's
met, there was an
sideways.
Tim, you are
ongoing
sideways, if
decision
you
we were
can-
awaiting from the SJC regarding individuals being released, people who were being held. Myself and 6 other DAs, as well as all sheriffs, opposed the release that was being put forward by the Committee for Public Counsel, in which they basically were asking to open the gates of the jail and release individuals, very dangerous individuals, back into our community. We argued for and subsequently were proven correct by the Supreme District Court's decision that we're going to have individualized bail hearings on individuals. The SJC we had an extraordinary telephone hearing of all sorts of people that were on that.
Brooke, Matt told him to go in on cell service versus, on Wi-Fi.
And all right, we're going to come back to Tim Cruz. And at this time, we're going to go to Joseph McDonald. He is the
Doing the best that we can, of kicking people.
and we're going to go to Joseph McDonald, Plymouth County Sheriff. Joe, welcome. And we can see you and we can hear you.
Thank you, Steve. Nice to be seen and nice to be heard. Good to see you.
What's been happening at the House of Correction?
Well, I'll pick up a little bit where what Tim was talking about. I do know that there was some public concern with reference to that case that was brought by the ACLU and the CPCS, the Defense Bar, requesting a wholesale release of inmates from the correctional, not just here in Plymouth, but everywhere, because of the danger of the COVID-19 virus. Well, we did have a hearing at the SJC. I was able to listen in on that. It was an interesting exercise because, all the justices had phoned in, kind of an unprecedented way to do this thing. But like Tim had said, what was great about that decision was that the SJC affirmed really what it was that we were doing anyway, which was looking at these cases on an individualized basis. So I know that there were some rumors that were circulating. Some of the townspeople were very upset, and perhaps rightfully so, that 400 people, that was a number I had heard, 400 people were being released immediately. That's not the case. That is not happening. What's going on is an individualized review of people who are held pretrial on bail and only limited to certain nonviolent types of cases. So we are not seeing a wholesale release of dangerous people. That's not what is happening. And I can tell you here in Plymouth, our numbers have gone down. Our daily census count today is 722 souls here in the House of Correction. That's a very manageable number as far as social distancing goes. Our populations here have been as high as 1650 people. And, we're handling this well. I'm very happy to report that early on, we had one staff person who had tested positive for the COVID-19 virus. That individual, as I said, I'm happy to report, has recovered, and although is not at work, is cleared to return to work. We're operating with a skeleton crew here on the administrative side, and our corrections officers are doing a fantastic job. We are happy to report, and I'll knock on wood because it's right here. We have no instances of COVID-19 in our inmate or our staff population. So things are going very well, and it's due, I would suggest, to two things. One is the grace of God, and the second one is the hard work of so many great people here at the Sheriff's Office. So everything here is good as it could be, and we're standing by.
Thank you. That's Plymouth County Sheriff Joseph McDonald. You can send your questions to PlymouthInfo@pactv.org. Each day we date stamp, and if you look at the top right-hand corner, you'll see that we date stamped. We're trying to provide you with verified information from officials and experts. We're going back to Timothy Cruz, Plymouth County District Attorney. Tim, I think we've got a better signal now.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
We can, yes, that's excellent.
Great. As the sheriff said, we're having, we had our hearings, our bail hearings, individuals. I think we're having those hearings now, making sure that individuals who are endangered, that should be excluded from being released, are individuals that we're very focused on making sure that people in our county remain safe. And I appreciate the work of the Sheriff's Department. I mean, I think it's remarkable that as we hear at the end of the 4th or 5th week of coronavirus, that no inmates, knock on wood, as the sheriff says, have that disease, which I think is great. So we continue to work on that. It's my understanding that the criminal defense lawyers are not happy with that decision, and they very well may be filing a motion for reconsideration to go in front of the SJC. So we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. But be assured that we're going to do our job to make sure that we keep individuals who are dangerous. I'm talking murderers, rapists, child molesters, drug traffickers, people with guns armed career criminals, that they're where they belong. And that really is down with Sheriff Joe or in the Department of Correction as we continue to go from there. Other things that are going on, however, unfortunately, we're in the middle of a pandemic, but pandemic doesn't stop all the problems that we're dealing in our county. Pandemic will not stop domestic violence, and it's still there. And we need to make sure that if we know someone, or if someone's out there that's watching this, if they need help, help is there. First and foremost, if something happens, don't hesitate to call 911 if it's an emergency. Let's make sure that, the courts may be closed, but we're still having hearings on emergency hearings, harassment prevention orders, Section 35s, things along those avenue. Those things are still occurring. If somebody needs help, don't forget to call our domestic violence phone numbers at SafeLink, 877-785-2020. That's 877-785-2020. It's important that if you need help, it's there. Scams are ongoing also. We just had a person in my office, their family members were just basically ripped off of $8,000 yesterday. And it's kind of a mixture of what's going on, from old scams we've heard about to using the coronavirus. This was a senior couple, an elderly couple, got a phone call that were informed that an individual with their nephew was arrested. They got a voice of a young man that called up and said he was their nephew. Said that he'd been arrested in New Hampshire because he was in a car accident when he was on his phone. And then a lawyer got on the phone. And the lawyer said, your nephew's going to be held until Monday, because that's our next court hearing in New Hampshire, unless you can come up with $8,000 cash. $8,000 cash. The elderly couple was concerned for their nephew. They got the $8,000 cash, and a black SUV pulls into their driveway in Hanover, where they went out and handed $8,000 cash to this man who was dressed up, wearing a mask, a surgical mask, took the money and is gone. I'm confident that the Hanover police have been notified, they're going to work into that, but let's make sure that we're all aware of the fact that people are going to try to take advantage of COVID-19. So be careful, whether it be emails, whether it be on the internet, people trying to reach out to you, looking for information. It's people that are trying to, get in your good side and say if you want to make a donation to something for COVID-19. Be very careful, especially with your information. Once the money's gone, it's difficult to get it back, especially cash. We're going to do our very best to make sure we can make those people whole. But whether or not we're going to be able to do that, we're going to find out. Once again, our kids are all online now more than ever. They're going to be hearing all sorts of things about coronavirus, things that are true, things that aren't true. They're going to be on the internet. Let's make sure that we watch who our kids are talking to.
Yeah.
The internet's a great educational tool, but it also is a place where predators can stay and people try to get our information. So we need to be very careful. On a national level, I stay in touch with the national DAs and the Mass DAs. All 11 of us continue to talk. We had our monthly meeting was 2 days ago. We did it via phone. We're all talking about the same issues regarding our courthouses that are opening and closing. As I stand right now with you, all of our courts in Plymouth County are open: Hingham, Wareham, Plymouth, and Brockton, as well as Brockton and Plymouth Superior. But we need to make sure that we try to keep them open as we go down that path of trying to reopening back to get to normalcy. And one more issue that's out there right now, I know we could continue to talk about the Plymouth County outreach and the fact that people are still suffering from substance abuse disorders. And it's very difficult now because all the help is really telephonic, but there is still help. And if you know somebody that's out there that needs that help, PCO, Plymouth County Outreach, does a remarkable job of getting information there. Their intent right now is to conduct their business as best as they can. They're there to have the recovery coaches on call 7 days a week. And if anybody needs to connect to their website at PlymouthCountyOutreach.org, or you can leave a voicemail on PCO mailbox 508-830-4218, extension 261. They continue to provide Narcan and fentanyl strips to people that are in need. So there are people that are out there in need. And what I just want to stress is people should understand that we're here to help. Anybody can call us at any time here at the DA's office. We'll do whatever we can to help and assist, as well as do our normal job. So please, everybody, just be safe, and thanks for listening to me.
That's Tim Cruz. He is the Plymouth County District Attorney. We'll be hearing from him and all the members of our panel during our question and answer when you send your questions to PlymouthInfo@PacTV.org. We're now also happy to welcome back the Executive Director for Plymouth 400, Michele Pecoraro. Welcome, Michele.
Hi, thank you, Steve. Good to be back on. a lot has happened since the last time we met when we actually were in the same room. So we have some updates. Our board of directors met on Monday, and we did vote to move one of the events so far into 2021, and that would be the June Maritime Festival, which is a 2-day and probably going to be a 3-day event now. We just felt that we really wanted to be able to gather in a large group, and that event is probably one of our biggest, and so we opted to move that to June of 2021. We haven't set the dates yet, but it will probably be at the end of the month after school has let out, and will probably be the weekend before 4th of July, but that still remains to be committed to. So where we stand now, and I just want to be clear because I know there's been some confusion, is that we are rescheduling some of the signature events, but not all, to 2021. Right now, we are hoping very much that we can do our fall events. We're not looking at summer. We see too many large events being postponed and canceled for summer. So we're looking at our fall events, which would be a Indigenous History Conference at Bridgewater State University in October. And then we really would like to do our Illuminate event that we've been doing, Illuminate Thanksgiving, in November, alongside the parade, which we've been doing for the last 6 years. It's very heavily a community event. We use a lot of Plymouth Public Schools resources, as well as others for that event. And even if we need to break that up into smaller gatherings throughout that week leading up to Thanksgiving, that's what we plan to do. That is provided, and everybody knows this, provided that we are able to gather in groups at that point. So right now we're looking at October through June of 21, and we know we're going to get further information, and so we want to be sure that we update you on a regular basis. There are a couple of things that I just wanted to mention that we're doing right now. One of them is called #IlluminateNow, and that is really just an initiative to take our themes and goals from Illuminate, which are give thanks and give back, and to work with the community to do videos and photos, just like many of the other good feeling online things that are out there. But we have a built-in group of constituents. We have over 700 volunteers out there. We've got our board, the state commission, all of our committees. So we're asking everyone to take part in that, and you'll see that on Facebook and Instagram. And then the other thing is we put up an educational resources page for 17th century history on our website for those people who are at home and would like to grab some educational materials, read some books. There's a bibliography on there, and then there's a lot of online links to the many partners that we have, museums and libraries especially, that have educational materials, walking tours, virtual walking tours, that kind of thing. Website, if you're activities for your kids, your students, or if you just want to read a book that has something to do with the 400th anniversary. And that currently is where we're at. We're all working from home, as you can see, and our staff is still very much focused. We have excellent sponsors who are sticking by us, and we're feeling very good about that. So I look forward to some questions.
Thank you, and that's Michele Pecoraro. She's the Executive Director for Plymouth 400, and we now have our business segment that we have each day, and today rejoining us, Amy Naples, Executive Director, Plymouth Area Chamber of Commerce. Welcome, Amy.
Hi, Steve. Thank you again for having me. It's always a pleasure to be here. Most of you have been receiving your stimulus checks, and I want to remind you that those stimulus checks are intended to stimulate the economy. So I'm asking you as consumers to spend your stimulus checks locally. Our local businesses need this boost. Before purchasing anything, remember to support a local business. For example, you could purchase a gift card for future services like hair and nail salons, which we all will desperately need. Order flowers, schedule services for landscaping, painting, and of course, shop online at your local retailers or order takeout from your favorite restaurants. Each day we learn about opportunities for our local businesses, and we're trying to keep the business community apprised of these important updates. And we do so through our website, Facebook page, and email. So be sure to go to the Chamber's website, plymouthchamber.com, sign up for our emails, like our Facebook page, and of course, you can certainly reach out to us anytime via email through the Contact Us button. Another note I wanted to mention today is we have recently updated our restaurant and takeout delivery guide. That includes clickable links. We did update this because some have closed and some have opened. So we had some changes to that guide. You can find that guide on our website, plymouthchamber.com. I want to also note that all restaurants who are listed are practicing the CDC and Board of Health guidelines and are taking serious precautions during this time. I've spoken to every single one of them, and they are absolutely ensuring safety for their patrons. We at the Chamber are continuously working with our small businesses and gaining feedback on areas that we can help most. Yesterday, we had a Zoom meeting with our local restaurants, and next week we'll be meeting with our local retailers and continuing these meetups with all the industries so that we can figure out how best to support them at this time. The Chamber is also activating a recovery task force, and we will have representatives from various agencies and industries to be sure we're able to provide the best possible recovery efforts for our business community. And today is Friday, which is Feel Good Friday for us. So I want to just mention yesterday, obviously we have all been very distant and remain to be, but our South Shore Police, Fire, and First Responders showed us otherwise. They gave us a wonderful parade to show support to our nurses, doctors, staff, and volunteers at BID Plymouth. It gave our community support, unity, and togetherness we all need. I would like to commend Chief Boteri and Chief Bradley and all who participated in saying thank you yesterday at BID. Another feel-good story I want to share with you all is one for South Shore Community Action Council. Chickie Seeley, who is the owner of Clay Chick, drove her big blue bus, Stella, around town last week, collecting 1,800 pounds of food across 8 neighborhoods. And that is certainly our community in action. And another business I'd like to recognize in business owner is Jonathan Bond from Bond Printing and Marketing. Jonathan has been providing signs to local restaurants that are open for takeout and delivery for free. We know firsthand restaurants can use all the marketing help they can get these days, and we want to thank Jonathan for lending a hand to the restaurant industry and providing them free marketing tools to succeed during these times. That is just a small example of the individuals and businesses who are committed to our community, and it shows. During times like this, we realize how strong we truly are. So continue to spread kindness and goodwill throughout the community. And that's our Chamber Business Update and our Feel Good Friday stories.
And thank you. You can send your questions to PlymouthInfo@pactv.org. We already have questions for each of our participants, but we're first going to go to Plymouth Representative Mathew Muratore for his update. Matt. Unmute yourself, Matt.
Unmute myself.
There you go. We're good.
Myself. Good afternoon, everybody. Amy, first of all, thank you so much for that list of restaurants that are open. It's a godsend in our house now. So my kids were thrilled to see that. Also want to thank both the sheriff and the DA for what you are doing and what your folks are doing to keep us all safe and all of us, from getting this virus and everything you're doing. We really do appreciate it. And I know there are more scams out there, so we appreciate, Tim, what you and your office are doing to try to help folks with that. So first of all, I do want to comment on something Amy just said, too, about the first responders going through BID Plymouth yesterday afternoon. There was I was on a conference call this morning with the folks from BID Plymouth. with myself, Representative Muratore, Representative Cutler, and Representative Hunt, just getting an update from the hospital. And I got to tell you, they couldn't be so thankful enough for what happened yesterday. It meant the world to the people that work there to, let them know that we all care about them and we look at them as heroes. And what was interesting is it was really supposed to be for the hospital workers and the change of shift, but it also turned around that a lot of the staff at the hospital had signs for the first responders too, thanking them and calling them heroes as well. So it really was a good feel-good event, and it was a tremendous amount of people that attended. It just wasn't the area police and fire departments throughout Plymouth County, but it was just regular people that were participating as well. So it meant a lot to the hospital, and people just need to know that they were very much appreciative of that. And I'll just continue on that line with the hospital. They're in really good shape at this point. I say fairly good shape. They do have beds open. They do have, at this point, 25 confirmed cases in the hospital right now. They did have 8 employees that were confirmed, but they have about 1,600 employees, so that's not too bad. The drive-through testing did open up this week, and it's, again, by appointment only. You do have to have a doctor's order for it. That opened up at the hospital for first responders and the healthcare workers at the hospital. They are looking to expand that and work with the nursing facilities and assisted living facilities in the area. So that will be happening as well. And there are plans on expanding that to the Walmart parking lot at some point in the near future. The biggest issue they're having is getting testing. Everyone needs to test, and that's really what they're waiting on. But they are, financially, it's a little bit more difficult because of elective surgeries and all that had to be canceled. But the state has worked in with some money for a hospital like BID to make up some of the losses, not all of them. But overall, they were in good shape there. With regard to the numbers from yesterday at these are as of yesterday, April 16th at 10 a.m. We had the most increase in tests in one day since we started this over a month ago. There were an increase of 8,750 tests in one day. So we jumped to 140,773 tests in Massachusetts. Compared that to the 7 million people in Massachusetts, and that's 2%. 2% of the population have been tested. Of the 2%, 23% have been confirmed with the virus. That's 32,181. That jumped up by almost 2,300 from the day before. And the amount of deaths, unfortunately, are rising fast. Another 137 were added to yesterday's total, the day before's total, to 1,245. Almost 4% of those that have been confirmed with the virus have unfortunately passed away. And of those deaths, it's almost at 50% now. 49% of all deaths in Massachusetts have come from the long-term care facilities. And as a reminder, long-term care facilities are nursing facilities, assisted livings, and rest homes. In Plymouth County, we had an increase of 158 confirmed cases, so that's up to 2,466, which is still less than 0.5% of the county population. And in the town of Plymouth, it was up by 3, and that's at 111 at this point. Again, it's less than 0.5% of the population for the town of Plymouth. Interesting enough that Massachusetts is leading the way in the country on testing. And as we've talked in the past, testing and tracing are going to be so important for us to open up the economy in not just in Massachusetts, but in throughout the whole nation. So the more testing and more tracing we can do, the better off we're all going to be. With regard to long-term care facilities, the National Guard, along with the Department of Public Health, have increased testing to, there's been state tests of 5,833 tests in 279 facilities. And remember, there are a little less than 700 of these facilities in the Commonwealth. Of those, 4,798 have been confirmed with COVID-19 in these facilities. That includes staff and residents. And that's at 130. There's at least one case in 232 facilities. And again, almost half, 49% of the deaths, 610 deaths have been from these facilities. With regard to legislation, Yesterday we talked about the housing bill on evictions and moratoriums for rents, leases, and mortgages. We were expecting that to go to the governor yesterday for a signature. There was a little glitch on the House side, so that's being worked on today. So hopefully over the weekend that could be worked out, and we can get something on the governor's desk by, if not this weekend, by Monday. Also, what's being worked on, and this is important to the hospital, they actually brought this up, is liability protection for healthcare workers. There is a bill moving through that came out of the Senate yesterday that will protect healthcare workers from liability issues with regard to the COVID-19. It's making its way through the House now, and we hope to have that bill up and running by early next week as well. The Attorney General's office, the state Attorney General Maura Healey's office, has come out with a grant program for municipalities and regional planning agencies. So I forward that off to our town manager and Lee Hartman, our director of planning, this morning. And I think you have it, and Steve Cole has it as well. So there is money, more money there that can help some small businesses along the way. As a reminder too, next week was scheduled to be April vacation week in the town of Plymouth for schools, but that has been canceled. I think Assistant Superintendent Fry was on yesterday talking about that, but I'm still getting questions and emails on that. But just want to remind people that school vacation, there is no school vacation in Plymouth next week. The children will be virtual learning, and in trade of that, then school will end on June 19th this year instead of June 25th. So, but Monday is still the holiday. So a lot of people have asked about that, but Monday is still considered Patriots Day. And also I want to remind people too that couple things, one thing on the federal level, the payroll protection plan money, people may have saw on the news that money has run out. So if you're already in the queue and your bank has already approved you, you should be all set. You should be getting that money soon. But for new applications, the money has run out. But our understanding from working with our federal partners is that they are working on another stimulus plan for small businesses. So if you didn't get approved in the first round or haven't applied yet, but think you're going to need it, stay tuned. There may be some more stimulus money coming for small businesses. And another reminder for the folks in our district here, there is a Senate race still scheduled for May 19th. There's no indication that that is going to change. So just to keep in mind that you can get a ballot. You can reach out to the town clerk's office and get an absentee ballot and actually start voting if you haven't already. So would encourage people to start doing that. And again, that election is still scheduled for May 19th. And that is the update for today, Steve.
Thank you. And that Plymouth State Representative Mathew Muratore will be going on question and answer. As Representative Muratore said, Monday is a holiday, and therefore on Monday we'll be having a replay of a regional coronavirus 19 update that we recently did provide. But on Tuesday, Matt, Ken, and I will be joined by Robert Creedon. He is the clerk, Plymouth County Superior Court. Also, Jack Cochio, who is the executive director for the South Shore Community Action Council. Each Tuesday, Michele Brady, director of Elder Affairs, will be joining us, and Stephen Cole, who is the executive director for the Plymouth Regional Economic Development Foundation. And now we're going to go to our questions. The first question is for the chair of the Board of Selectmen, Ken Tavares. And Ken, a viewer asks, what's happening with the July 4th parade?
A decision hasn't been made yet. The committee is waiting to get further information from the state as to what may be opened up or closed. So they're anticipating that an answer will come sometime in the middle of May.
And Ken, a second question, I think, for you, which you may have to get back to us, and that is, if a town employee's spouse has coronavirus symptoms, would that town employee now quarantine? And what about other employees with whom the town employee had contact?
The detail of that we'll have to get back to you on, but there are guidelines that the town is following if someone has been in contact.
Thank you, and we'll get further response for the
also.
Go ahead.
Excuse me, Steve. If the employee would just contact their immediate supervisor, someone will be in contact with them immediately. So they don't have to wait for an answer. They just go through their department and the protocol can be followed.
And that's good information, since we've been telling people they should contact their primary care physician if they have COVID-19 symptoms, but good information from Selectman Chair Tavares that employees shouldn't contact their immediate supervisor because every situation is different. We need to know the facts. Next question is for Timothy Cruz, Plymouth County District Attorney. Tim, additional questions about scams. Apparently one scam has had to do with the stimulus checks, where people who only receive Social Security and don't file taxes are being contacted by scammers. If you can talk to us about that. And also, what about any scams with small businesses? Tim.
Well, the IRS scams are something they really keep your guard up on, as we all probably had in the last 6 months or so. I don't know of anybody that wasn't getting phone calls allegedly from the IRS saying that you owed money and that if you didn't pay by a certain date, they were going to come and arrest you. I know that was always a major concern. We do senior luncheons every year, and talking to the seniors when we go to the luncheons, they were all very nervous and upset about them. And I always tell them the same thing. I said, listen, if you're getting a phone call, if you're getting an email from some alleged law enforcement arm of whatever the agency may be, and they say they're going to come and arrest you, the biggest secret in law enforcement is that when the police are going to come arrest you, they're not going to call. They're going to come and arrest you. So it's a scam. And so when people are trying to get our information through your websites, through your information that you have, your emails, your banks, if they're reaching out to you allegedly regarding the direct deposit of your stimulus check, your banks have your information. So therefore, if somebody's reaching out to you and it looks like it may be your bank, it may be a similar name, be very careful, because if they're asking you for information such as your Social Security number, your debit card numbers, any information, they've already got it. So they don't need to get it from you. What they're trying to do, what all these scammers are trying to do, is use the COVID-19 pandemic to scare us into giving up information and getting that check. And, like Amy said, that check is better off in our county, in our town, being spent to stimulate the economy right now for all the businesses that are really facing significant challenges. So what I say is what I always say. Be very careful with your information. Don't allow people to get at that information. It's like the key to your house. It's the key to your safe. If they get that information, you may not be able to put the genie back in the bottle. And when they get your money, if they get your information, it's incredibly difficult for us to chase it down, because most times, if they're calling you up, if they're on the internet, it's well beyond the jurisdiction of Plymouth County. It's well beyond the jurisdiction of the Attorney General's office outside the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. That's meaning that you're going to be dealing with the U.S. Attorney's Office, and we're dealing with most times international issues. A lot of these individuals that are out there, and I think the last thing I would say to seniors or anybody that's out there that may be ripped off from these scammers is, remember, these people are professionals at what they do. You shouldn't be embarrassed. If you get ripped off, the best thing you can do is report it. Make sure we get all the information that we can to try to help you and get back and compensate you for what you've lost. But at the same time, let people know that somebody's out there doing these things. And that way we may be able to prevent it so other people don't have their information or their money stolen.
Plymouth County District Attorney Tim Cruz, now going to Plymouth County Sheriff Joseph McDonald. Joe, first question for you would also be, do you have anything else that you have to add regarding the scams?
No, I think Tim described that very, very well. I do know that anytime there is a big event, either a good event or a bad event, scammers are always standing by to take advantage of that. And like Tim says, if your bank or someone that purports to be your bank is looking to verify, that's oftentimes what we have your information, but we want to verify it. They've got it. Don't verify a thing. Also, the IRS, they're not going to contact you by phone to verify information or any of those things. Always be very vigilant, very careful. As Tim said, that's the key to the safe. And once they get in, it's very, very difficult, to get back what they take. So Tim's advice is very well taken.
Second question, a viewer wrote that yesterday the viewer had mulch delivered and spread and wanted to know, would there be any available plants at the farm on Aubrey Street?
Well, we're doing plantings over there. We do have staff members over there that are still working the farm. As far as the retail operation, we have not opened yet. That is not something that would be considered to be a necessary or a vital business. So unfortunately, in the short run, I'm hoping that we'll be able to open up soon and start retail sales, because as everyone knows, the plants we grow over there are excellent. The guys do a great job. But temporarily, we're going to have to wait.
Thank you. That is Joe McDonald. He is the Plymouth County Sheriff. We're going to go to Michele Pecoraro, the Executive Director of Plymouth 400, and a viewer asks, what is the financial impact to the town of Plymouth due to the delay of Plymouth 400 events?
Well, the financial impact actually is with the private nonprofit Plymouth 400. That's where we're impacted the most. The town of Plymouth has contributed to us over the years. We certainly know that in this time that we're in with this pandemic, that we're not expecting that, but we are going to be part of the rebirth of business here as soon as we can kick off this commemoration. So I guess my answer to that would be, we really don't know for state funding and for town funding where that is going to go yet. And as soon as we do know, we will make sure that that people know where we stand. But right now, we're just business as usual. We're moving forward and doing our best to make sure that we have a fitting commemoration.
Thank you, Michele Pecoraro, Executive Director of Plymouth 400. Amy Naples, she just talked about the rebirth of business in Plymouth. One viewer asks, if the funds have run up for the Paycheck Protection Plan, we heard earlier from Representative Muratore, we think our federal partners are going to be coming up with additional funds. Are there any other options for small businesses right now?
So actually, I am working with the town of Plymouth, the Community Development Office, and they have a HUD grant that they have. They are working on an emergency loan application for that for businesses up to, I believe, $10,000, but don't quote me on that. And they are hoping to launch that next week. We are constantly researching and trying to identify opportunities for small businesses. And certainly they can visit our website for a listing of all of those.
Thank you. That is Amy Naples, Executive Director of Plymouth Area Chamber of Commerce. Good information from all members of our parent panel. As you heard earlier from District Attorney Tim Cruz, you want to verify your information. You want to make sure that you're getting it from a trusted source, and that's what we're providing with you each and every day. Matt Muratore, a viewer asks about absentee ballots. A viewer mailed a request a month ago, has not yet received a ballot. I know that one of the elections for state senate is being run by the state. I assume the town clerk is in charge, but do you have any update on absentee ballot mailings?
No, I don't. That's handled through the town clerk's office. I'm actually going to be seeing Larry very shortly, so I'll find out for our Tuesday show just to see and see maybe it's worthwhile to have Larry come back on next week as well to kind of talk about that election that's coming up.
Thank you, Matt. Second question. Yesterday we heard about a three-part plan for reopening at the federal level. What is the plan in Massachusetts for a slow opening in our state?
Well, as you heard yesterday from the president, that is a guidance that has been given out to every single governor. He was on a call with the governor, including Governor Baker yesterday, to give the guidance to these states. So the guidance for Massachusetts are there. They're for every state, and then it's up to the state to decide how they want to do that. At this point, the governor has indicated very shortly he'll be talking about whether to extend the May 4th date or not. Remember, we are still in this surge, and We're going to be in this for another week or so, and that's going to bring us, close to the end of April. We really have to be at the point where we're not peaking, but we're actually coming down the other side and starting to flatten that curve before we can actually think about, opening up anytime soon. But I do see that, the guidance, in my opinion, I thought they were pretty good guidance to have in phases. They're in 15-day phases. But again, it's up to each governor to do that. I do understand there has been some discussions through the Commissioner's Office of Education with regard to schools. There's a good likelihood that schools are either going to be delayed or just continue with virtual learning through the end of the school year, through the end of June. So that's probably more likely possibility that will be happening. But there's no date yet. The governor and the command center have not determined a date yet, but I suspect that'll be coming out anytime soon.
Thank you. And Julie Thompson from PAC TV tells us that PAC TV will also be doing PSA announcements, public service announcements, with our town clerks in this listening area to discuss the various options for voting. So you can look for those at pactv.org. We're now going to go back to all members of our panel and ask each of them to give us their closing statement. What takeaway would you like viewers to remember today from this forum? We're going to begin with Tim Cruz, Plymouth County District Attorney. Tim.
I would just say that although we're in a challenging and difficult time right now, that in the world of criminal prosecution, we're still working, and people should understand that, so that if something does happen to them, they shouldn't hesitate to reach out to the DA, the local police, obviously, but the local district attorney's office. We have information. Either call us at 508-584-8120 or go on PlymouthDA.com. You have and access to all sorts of information that you may have questions about regarding what's going on here, whether it may be domestic violence issues, internet safety issues, Plymouth County outreach issues, the things that we continue to work with while we're here, and making sure that we can work in conjunction with keep people safe. Like I said, we're in a situation where although we're kind of cloistered and we're minimized on-hand people here, unfortunately, crime still continues. And we had a domestic violence homicide in Wareham a couple of weeks ago. We had a horrific shooting the other night, which culminated in a terrible accident, a very serious collision with injuries the other night in Brockton. We're still here. We're working to the best that we can, and understand that we're here to help people. And I think that all the people that have spoken today are here to help people. And I would just suggest if you have any questions, give us a call or go on our website. And I would just ask everybody, please stay safe. I know it's difficult. These are difficult times. Social isolation and being lonely is a very difficult thing. Reach out to your friends through the internet and make sure that we can keep everybody safe. And I'm hopeful that soon before you know, this will all be behind us.
Thank you. That's Tim Cruz. He is the Plymouth County District Attorney. We thank Tim and his staff for their support of the Plymouth Police Department, the Plymouth District Court, the Plymouth County Superior Court, the Plymouth County House of Correction. All of these entities in Plymouth are working together. One of the unintended results of our forums, and we've had about 30 in the past month, is that it's actually caused our local, state, and federal partners to be in greater communication with one another. This has really caused us to check in and to communicate, and now we're delivering it back to the town. So we're very happy about that. And Joseph McDonald, Plymouth County Sheriff, what would you like viewers to remember today?
Well, thank you very much, Steve, for putting these all together. I think it's really a wonderful service that you have all provided to the town of Plymouth. And my message to the folks here in the town of Plymouth, I hope, is a hopeful one. As Tim Cruz said, we're going to get through this. All of us here working in public safety, whether they be local police, local fire, EMS, our medical providers, us here at the House of Correction, we are all working diligently. We are not going anywhere. Although we may be operating on skeleton crews, we're here. And avail yourselves of us, all of us. And together, we're going to get through this.
Thank you. That's Joseph McDonald. He is Plymouth County Sheriff. We're now going to go to Michele Pecoraro. She's the Executive Director for the Plymouth 400. Michele, what's the takeaway from today's forum?
Well, first of all, again, I just want to thank everybody that is on this forum and everybody that is very supportive of business in Plymouth. As we are, we have business partners. We encourage you to go to those businesses, pick up your food, restaurants, etc. Buy gift cards, as has been said many times. But we also are looking forward to giving back. We're looking forward to being able to do this commemoration, and we work very closely with our partners at the Chamber and Amy, and with our partners at Sea Plymouth, and our partners at the Plymouth Bay Cultural District. And those four organizations, I think, are going to be very instrumental when we can meet again in person. And I really look forward to that day when we can meet again in person.
Michele Pecoraro, Executive Director, Plymouth 400, and she's joined by Amy Naples, another business partner. Amy, what will be the takeaway for the Plymouth Chamber today?
Well, first I want to say, Michele, same here. I can't wait to finally see you in person again. Actually, all of you. The takeaway today I wanted to leave is the Chamber's working hand in hand with our local business owners and trying to provide all the tools they need to get through this difficult time. But we couldn't do it without the partnerships and leaders we have in town, like today's panelists. And I certainly want to thank the town of Plymouth, the Board of Selectmen, Melissa Riggi, our town manager, our state representatives, Matt Muratore and Kathy Lenatra, in Congressman Keating's office for their ongoing support and advocacy for our business community, because we are so much stronger together. And I want all of the viewers to understand you can be assured that we are working together for the interest of our local business communities in mind. So we are here for you. And of course, as I leave today, I encourage you to distance socially and support locally.
Amy Naples is the Executive Director, Plymouth Area Chamber of Commerce. Representative Mathew Muratore each day gives us a lot of information. Matt, what's your closing statement?
Well, before I get there, Steve, just got some news that the eviction bill will be going through this afternoon. It's the housing eviction bill, and moratorium on rents. They'll be going through today. So hopefully they'll get to the governor today. So we'll have more of an update on Tuesday on that. I want to talk about what everyone else is talking about as a theme of working together. Ken and I have obviously worked together on the Board of Selectmen together when I was actually on the board, and so we've come very close over the years. But it's been a real pleasure working with the Ken and his board over the last month or so. It's just a great working relationship. We all have the best interests of our community at heart, and it's been a real pleasure. And we really appreciate Ken's leadership in the community. With that said, again, as I say every day, you want to make sure you stay informed what's happening by going to mass.gov/COVID-19. If you have questions, call 211. If you want to get text alerts, text COVID MA to 888-777. And if you have questions on health, go to bowie.com/mask. Stay calm. We are on the surge. The deaths will keep rising, which we knew. The number of cases will keep rising. But we will get through this. But the good news is there are beds here locally at the hospital and the Commonwealth. There's still about 40% beds that are available, both ICU and regular beds in the Commonwealth, with all the field hospitals that have been put up as well. So we're managing through this. We'll get through this, and hopefully another week we'll be able to start talking about how the numbers are starting to come down. So no matter what you're doing, whether you're working at a bank or a grocery store or a healthcare facility, a daycare center, no matter what you're doing, staying home, you are actually saving lives by doing that. So we are all saving lives by doing our part. It is working what we're doing. So continue to do that. We'll get back to some normalcy at some point. It will be phased in and it will take time, but we will get back at some point. So stay calm and remember, the more we come together by staying apart, the faster we'll get back to the people we love and the things we love to do. So thanks again to Steve and to PAC TV.
Thank you, Representative Mathew Muratore, and to all our guests, Tim Cruz, Plymouth County District Attorney, Joseph McDonald, Plymouth County Sheriff, Michele Pecoraro, Executive Director, Plymouth 400, Amy Naples, Executive Director, Plymouth Area Chamber of Commerce, and of course, the Chair of the Plymouth Board of Selectmen, Ken Tavares. Ken, what are your closing thoughts?
Thank you, Steve. Today, I would like to actually pay tribute to those that are in our school system, our students, our administrators, the teachers, custodians, cafeteria folks, the school committee who are doing an outstanding job of educating our children under extreme circumstances. I want to read something that was passed on to me actually a week ago, and it's written by one of our teachers in the school system, and I think it speaks so well for what's happening in Plymouth and how we're coping and gaining on this horrible disease. And it starts as follows, that this has been the longest, hardest, most emotional time in my 21 years of teaching. I miss my kids so much. I haven't seen them since March 13th. Me, when we get back to school, you know what? You're going to get up in the middle of my lesson to go to the bathroom. Go ahead, because I know you'll be back. Papers without a name, I will play detective and figure out whose it is, because I know you're here in this room. Do you need to tell a seemingly endless story about your Roblox game? Bring it on. I'll just be happy to hear the sound of your voice. Do you need to come to my desk 20 times during silent reading time to show me something awesome in your book? Do it. I will smile at your enthusiasm. Is your desk messy? No big deal. I'll help you clean it. It's nice to have a workspace that's not a kitchen table or a couch or a counter, isn't it? Should I read an extra chapter and not read aloud? Why not? I'd rather see your faces as I read than read to you by video. Do I need to wait a couple of minutes extra for the line to settle down before going to lunch? I'll do it, because it's so nice to see you with your friends chatting away and laughing. Do you need to come to me to ask how to spell something? Of course, because it's amazing to see you writing with pencil and paper instead of typing everything. Do you need a hug? You got it, because I probably need one too. And it ends. I'm sorry, it says that it ends. You want extra computer time today? No way. I want to thank Becky from Indian Brook for writing those words. Thanks, Becky. Be safe, everyone.
Thank you. And that's Kenneth Tavares, Chair of the Plymouth Board of Selectmen. We're with you each day, Monday through Friday. Monday on the holiday, a special regional presentation. We're joined by Congressman Bill Keating, Representatives Mathew, Muratore, Kathy Lenatra, Josh Cutler, and experts, including Dr. Philip Triffletti, a primary care physician, Dr. Mark Wilson, he is an epidemiologist from Plymouth, Dr. Russell Fry, he is a psychologist, and Father John Colity from the St. Mary's Collaborative in conjunction with St. Joseph's. And for Tuesday, Ken, Matt, and I will be joined by Robert Creedon. He is the clerk of the Plymouth County Superior Court, Jack Cochio, who is the executive director for the South Shore Community Action Council, also Michele Brady, director of Elder Affairs, Stephen Cole, the executive director, Plymouth Regional Economic Development Foundation. We thank you for joining us today. Please continue with us next week. I'm Steve Triffletti, Plymouth Town Moderator. Good day and thank you.